That's a critical piece, though, because that's the part everybody was ignoring, was going into that debate, Joe Biden was 4 points behind in national polling, behind Donald Trump. After that debate, the expectation was the whole thing would implode virtually because by Friday afternoon, the Democrats had so amplified the negative impact of his performance that you're figuring, oh my goodness, this is going to be a tsunami of ugly by the time you get to Sunday, and they start releasing the polling, the rolling polls that they do, the rolling polling, it's weird, but it's called rolling over a 3 or 4 day period, they're taking this polling. His numbers that Monday, he was down by 6.
From 4
to 6 in national polling. What you saw, to Donna's point, was his base consolidate around him. The party establishment, the media did not. They were driving the story. On the Republican side, I can just tell you straight up, that ish never would have happened. Because I give you Access Hollywood tape. What happened during the Access Hollywood tape? Donald Trump is caught on tape saying what he liked to do to women. And it's not pleasant. Republicans have a quiet meeting in which Reince Priebus is telling Donald Trump he's got to get out of the race. Mitch McConnell and others in the party leadership are telling you got to go. Donald Trump says, hell no, I'm not going anywhere. I'm the nominee. And they said, okay. And they went outside that next day and they built a wall around him. And they held that wall right through that election, which was 3 weeks later, and allowed him to win. Democrats completely folded like the worst cheap suit politically you can find. I'm just telling you how the game is played, because you can play this one of two ways. You can build a wall and stand behind your candidate and go forward, or you could do what you saw happen, and just by the stroke of luck. And one thing, in my view, changed that whole scenario for the Democrats.
Which is
exactly what Donna just said before. Kamala Harris came out and defended him. Because if Kamala Harris had not come out and stood with the president, A, that thing would have fallen completely apart. B, she would not be the nominee of the party right now.
Joe Biden has done more for black people than Abraham Lincoln. That's about it. I mean, come on, he's been a good president for us.
He was a good president on a number of fronts, but the politics of that moment is going to be an interesting study, I think, going forward, when you're looking at the internal dynamics within the Democratic Party.
Of the replacement.
Going back to the moment that Congressman Clyburn endorsed Joe Biden. That's the arc you want to look at. You want to look at Joe Biden, where he stood within the Democratic Party before that endorsement.
Coming into the South Carolina primaries.
Coming into the South. He was not winning.
4 states
He was
lost.
not winning. That endorsement is a critical linchpin to what then comes 4 years later, when you look at that arc. But for that endorsement, he does not win the nomination. Over that period, Kamala Harris played a very, very important role, largely ignored by the press, largely ignored by her, by her storylines, ignored by the press. And the storylines they did write about her were all internal, nitpicking, crazy, stupid stuff that really didn't amount to anything and didn't catch on with the public the way they'd hoped it would, so they just forgot it. So now that the arc is completed with Joe Biden, so to your point, and the symbolism of amending that FEC report to Biden-Harris is critically important, because typically that's not what you do. The president has his account, the vice president has her account, or his account.
When was this shift made that he added her?
Last September, last fall. And nobody paid attention.
So when
he saw, there were probably rumblings that he saw internally. There were always there. I mean, there were conversations about Joe Biden not holding that position. I just wish these conversations had taken seriously in my party, because it's a very different race today. if you had a Nikki Haley at the top of the ticket
Right.
versus a Donald
Right, because
Trump or someone like
you have
that.
Ezra Klein speculating in the New York Times about the replacement of Joe Biden. Okay, so I put it to both of you. Which party did better? One party killed the king that was going to lose and replaced it with someone who has a chance of winning, or your party that got taken over by a personality. Which party has done better?
Well, I have to, as a former chairman, I have to look at it in wins and losses. We haven't won jack since 2016, so
Right. You've not won the popular
for me,
vote.
that's not a good day at work.
Right.
If your political party is look, as a chairman, whether you're a county chairman, which I was, a state chairman, which I was, or a national chairman, which I was, a candidate, which I was, or an elected official, which I was, at the end of the day, you have two jobs. You know what those two jobs are? Raise money and win elections. Everything else is bull. It's all noise. It's all distractions. And a party's role is primarily to build the foundation upon which you can raise money and win elections. And that results in how you go out and attract those who are at the margins, those center-right, center-left voters, those independent voters who are freely at play in any given political cycle. They may vote for the R in one cycle, they may vote for the D in another cycle, and that's based on how you lay that foundation. My party has not laid a foundation since 2016. In 2020, we didn't even have a platform. Have you read the platform that they just released a few weeks ago? I mean, what are you telling the country? So when you're looking at how the parties are doing in terms of wins and losses, Republicans have put themselves, I think, in a very difficult position because they've refused to acknowledge that the titular head of the party is not the brand that the public, they may buy Donald Trump for president, but everything below him,
Right.
they're not.
Right.
And that to me says a lot about where they go in the future. And it makes a harder case for the public, when you can't win a congressional race, you can't win a Senate seat, you can't win a state house race.
Because there's no Republican core. There's no, this is what we
is it?
believe as a party. So everyone below the figurehead, the populace.
Yeah, because
have
every election, the question voters and the press and others are asking you is based off of something that the titular head of the party just said. So if I'm running in a D plus 5, D plus 6 district, which means a Republican has a good chance to be competitive and can win.
Right.
And I'm getting asked every 15 seconds on the latest flip-flop on abortion, the latest crazy on immigration, the latest. I, as a candidate, don't have a chance to really tell the voters what it is I want to do in Congress or what I want to do in the state legislature.